Hi, my name is Dora Vang. My father immigrated to the United States of America when he was a teenager, and he accidentally got a white American woman pregnant. They had a child. They eventually fell in love and got married, and then they had 3 more kids. And one of those kids was me. I think people don't understand what it's like to be mixed unless they are mixed. Like, mixed people, they're just a whole nother race. Like, you feel alienated from the start. Say your white family doesn't accept you because they're really racist and they won't, like, you will never be like a white person, like completely white. And when you're with your Asian family or in the Asian group community, you're half white, so they're like, oh, this isn't it, this isn't they're not one of us, you know. And that's kind of how I felt growing up, like making friends and going to work too, since I worked in a nail salon. I don't think people realize how difficult it is being mixed, like being mixed race. Some people, they think it's such a advantage. I mean, it's kind of strange because people are like, oh, I want to have mixed kids. Having mixed kids would be so nice. And it's like, well, not all mixed kids can hit the genetic lottery. So it's very strange whenever people say that they want to have mixed children. A lot of it is fetishized. It's like everyone nowadays wants their kids to be mixed. It's almost as if it's a trend. They want to pick and choose which characteristics that their kids are going to get, but that's not how it works. I think it's strange whenever people want to ask me like what my ethnicity is. A lot of the times the question comes off really strange. Like, I don't like whenever people say, so what are you? What are you? And it's like, what do you mean? Like, I'm Dora? Where are you from? I'm from Georgia. Like, no, like, can you tell me where your parents are from? And then I'm like, oh, I see what they mean now. And then I have to go into, like, I have to just be like, yeah, I'm white and Asian. And they're like, wait, you're white and Asian? No way. I'm like, yeah, I am. Why? And they're like, no, you've got to be Hispanic or something. You've got to be Middle Eastern. You're not white and Asian. It's like, yes, I am. I am. You can go back to the day where my parents decided to spread their seed and create me. Like, I am. I am what I am. I also don't like the stereotype that's placed on me because I'm half Asian. Like, when I was in school, if I did good in math, people would be like, oh, you're only good at math because you're Asian, because you're half Asian. And in art class, I would draw something pretty or beautiful. People would be like, oh, it's because you're Asian. And I was in orchestra too. I was first chair, and everyone would be like, she's only good because she's Asian. But then, it really, it like really hurt my feelings one day whenever my mom would she would be like, oh, I love you so much, Dora. I can't believe you're so talented. I know it's because your dad is Vietnamese. And then it just like, that really just set me off because I was like, oh, so I'm only half good at what I do? I'm only half talented? I'm only half smart? Like, what if I was full Asian? Would I be even better than I am right now? I just didn't like that because I felt like I was limited to exploring all of my talents for being only half Asian and half white. It's almost as if being white was holding me back. But at the same time, I really appreciated being white because I could easily avoid extremely racist situations where I was alienated by my peers. And they'd be like, I've had people tell me, you need to go back to where you come from. You need to go back to where you came from. And then I'd have to be like, Excuse me, ma'am, I'm white. I'm white. My mom is white. When I was little, I found out that racism exists really fast. I noticed that when I was with my mom, no one would ever say anything. No one gave us any dirty looks. No one, like, glued their eyes on us when we were in a store or in a gas station. Everything was completely fine. And my mom, she had no issues getting what she needed to get. But when I was with my dad, it was very strange. Like, for example, since we live in Georgia, it's like the deep south, like south. So if we just drove like 30 minutes away from the suburbs, we'd be in a super racist area. And if my dad were to go into a gas station, of course he had to take me in since I was a little kid. But people, damn, they had an issue with him for no reason at all. He was just minding his business, but it was because he wasn't white. They had an issue with him. They would stare at him. They would stare at him the whole time he was in a gas station, or if he was just walking down the street in a restaurant. I know, like, when we would go out to eat in a place that was in the deep south, they would kind of be extremely rude to him, and the customer service was terrible. But when I was with my mom, the customer service was top notch. The most difficult thing for me with my ethnic background is the language barrier that I have, because my dad never taught me how to speak Vietnamese. And I've asked him why, and he said, well, we're American now. Like, that's behind us. We don't need to worry about that anymore. So I'd be like, I guess, but it's really a disadvantage in the work environment and when I'm with my family too. I don't think he realized how strong of an impact that would be. It's really hard for me to communicate with my grandma. Like, I really want to talk to my grandma sometimes about, like, life, some lessons that she's learned, you know, what type of food she likes, but I can't because the language barrier. We can barely speak. Most of it's like small talk. And when I was at work, it was difficult too. I worked in a nail salon, so all of my coworkers, they were Vietnamese. And since I could speak perfect English, I had to do everything, like, in the shop, like, everything. But sometimes customers, they would have complaints, and I would have to go up to the customer, and the customers would be like, can you tell them what I want? And I'd be like, yeah, I'll try to, yeah. And then they'd be like, okay, I want French tips, okay? I want right here pink and right here white. What's hard to understand? And I'd be like, okay. And then, like, I don't know, I would have to just repeat exactly what the customer said to my coworker, and be like, they want French tip, white right here, pink right here. And then the customer would kind of just look at me like, oh, like, sorry, I didn't mean to waste your time. And it really did waste a lot of time was wasted due to, like, the language barrier. I could have gotten a lot more done and learned a lot more things if it weren't for that. I think something that's positive about that experience at work was that I learned how to speak some of the language. I learned numbers and, like, how to say pretty, I'm hungry, I'm tired, just, like, stuff like that. And it was also a great upside too, because I got to avoid all drama. Like, I was associated with no drama because no one could understand me and I couldn't understand anyone else. So if they tried to drag me into something, or if they were gossiping about me or someone else, then I wouldn't understand. I could just do my work in peace. I'd like to learn a lot more about my family and where they came from. Exactly, like which village they lived in, how they got food, what they ate, what they did for fun. And I'd also like to learn more of the language too, so that I could experience it myself by like maybe visiting place.
There you go.